Welcome. I'm really glad you're here. There's something important we need to talk about today. Something that's been quietly happening but not openly understood. Why are attractive men who seem confident, successful, and desirable, choosing to stay single? If you've ever wondered about this, or experienced it firsthand, this message is for you. Stay with me because what you're about to hear might change how you see relationships completely. And if you're new here, subscribe to Psychology Wave and turn on notifications so you don't miss insights like this that can truly shift your perspective. Before we go deeper, take a moment and type in the comments, "I choose clarity" or "I am aware." This is not just engagement, it's a mindset shift. Because understanding human behavior requires awareness, not assumptions. And once you become aware, you start seeing patterns that most people miss. Also, take a moment to subscribe to Psychology Wave so you stay connected to insights like this. Now let's begin with something real. Attraction does not guarantee connection. Just because a man is attractive doesn't mean he is emotionally available or even interested in being in a relationship. In fact, sometimes the opposite is true. According to research published in the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships, individuals who receive high levels of external validation often develop different relational priorities, sometimes placing less urgency on long-term commitment. What does that mean in simple terms? It means that when someone knows they are desired, they don't feel pressure to settle quickly. They can take their time. They can walk away easily. And over time, this freedom shapes their mindset. If this is already making you think differently, like the video and subscribe to Psychology Wave for more insights like this. Let's go deeper. Attractive men often experience more options in the dating world. And while that may sound like an advantage, psychologically, it can create something called choice overload. Studies from Oxford University suggest that when people are faced with too many options, they struggle to commit because they fear missing out on something better. So instead of choosing deeply, they keep exploring. Not always intentionally, but because their environment allows it. And over time, this creates a pattern connection without commitment. If this insight resonates, take a moment to subscribe to Psychology Wave and share this with someone who needs to understand this dynamic. There's also something else happening beneath the surface. Many attractive men have learned to rely heavily on external validation. Compliments, attention, interest, it becomes normal. But according to research from the Kinsey Institute, when validation becomes easily accessible, its emotional value can decrease over time. This means attention no longer feels special. And when something doesn't feel special, it doesn't create strong emotional attachment. So even when they meet someone genuinely compatible, the emotional impact may not feel as intense as expected. If this is opening your eyes, like the video and subscribe to Psychology Wave. Now let's talk about emotional patterns. Not every attractive man is emotionally unavailable, but some become that way through experience. When relationships don't meet expectations, or when trust is broken repeatedly, it creates caution. Dr. John Gottman, one of the leading experts in relationships, explains that trust is built in very small moments. But when those moments fail repeatedly, people start protecting themselves. And protection over time can look like distance. If you're learning something valuable, take a moment to subscribe to Psychology Wave and stay connected. Another factor is independence. Many attractive men invest heavily in themselves, their careers, fitness, lifestyle, and personal goals. Over time, they build a life that feels complete. And when your life feels complete, the need for a relationship changes. Research from the University of California, Davis shows that individuals with strong self-sufficiency often prioritize autonomy over dependency. This doesn't mean they don't want love, it means they don't feel incomplete without it. If this perspective is helping you, like the video and subscribe to Psychology Wave. Let me ask you something. Have you ever met someone who seemed perfect, confident, successful, attractive, but somehow distant? Not cold, not rude, just hard to connect with deeply? That's often the result of someone who has built a strong individual identity without needing emotional reliance on others. And here's the truth most people don't talk about. The more someone becomes comfortable alone, the harder it becomes to invite someone else into their space. Not because they don't care, but because their system is already optimized for independence. If this makes sense to you, take a moment to subscribe to Psychology Wave and share this video. There's also a fear that develops quietly. Not fear of people, but fear of losing control. Relationships require compromise, vulnerability, and emotional exposure. And for someone who is used to control, that can feel uncomfortable. Helen Fisher, a biological anthropologist, explains that romantic love activates reward systems in the brain, but also increases emotional risk. For someone who has learned to avoid that risk, staying single can feel safer. If this insight resonates, like the video and subscribe to Psychology Wave. Now let's bring this into a real-life scenario. Imagine a man who has spent years building himself. His career, his confidence, his lifestyle. He has options, attention, and freedom. Then he meets someone who genuinely connects with him. First, everything feels natural. But as the connection deepens, something shifts. He starts questioning. Not her, but the situation. Do I really want this? Am I ready for this? Will this change my life? If this feels familiar, take a moment to subscribe to Psychology Wave. This is not confusion, it's internal conflict. A part of him wants connection. Another part wants to maintain the life he has built. And when those two parts clash, hesitation appears. Cognitive psychology explains that when two desires conflict, the brain often delays decision-making to avoid discomfort. This is why some men stay in a state of almost relationships, close but not committed. If this is giving you clarity, like the video and subscribe to Psychology Wave. Now here's something important. Not all attractive men stay single for the same reason. Some are healing. Some are focusing on growth. Some are simply waiting for the right connection. But the key pattern is this: they are not rushing. And in a world where many people rush into relationships, this can be misunderstood. Patience can look like disinterest. Caution can look like distance. But psychology tells us that behavior always has a deeper reason. If you agree, take a moment to subscribe to Psychology Wave and support the channel. Let's talk about expectations. Attractive men often experience relationships where they are valued for their appearance or status, rather than their deeper qualities. Over time, this can create skepticism. They begin to question intentions. Do they like me, or what I represent? This question alone can create emotional distance, because trust becomes harder when intentions feel unclear. If this resonates, like the video and subscribe to Psychology Wave. Now let's reflect together. Are attractive men staying single because they can't find love, or because their experiences have changed how they approach it? The answer is usually the second. And understanding this changes everything. It shifts the conversation from judgment to awareness, from assumption to insight. If this perspective is helping you, take a moment to subscribe to Psychology Wave and share this video. As we come toward the end, let's bring everything together with a simple story. There was a man who had everything people admired: confidence, success, presence. But he remained single for years, not because he couldn't connect, but because he had learned to live without needing to. One day, he met someone who didn't just admire him, but understood him. And for the first time, he realized something. Being independent had made him strong, but it had also made him distant. If this story speaks to you, take a moment to subscribe to Psychology Wave. In that moment, he had a choice: stay in comfort or step into connection. And that's the choice many people face, whether they realize it or not. Here are 4 lessons this story teaches. First, attraction does not equal emotional readiness. Second, independence can become a barrier if not balanced with openness. Third, understanding behavior requires looking beyond the surface. And fourth, real connection requires vulnerability, even when it feels uncomfortable. Before you leave, type in the comments, clarity and confidence, or aware and empowered. Let that be your declaration that you are choosing understanding over confusion. And don't forget to subscribe to Psychology Wave, like this video, and share it with someone who needs this message today.